So we're waiting for a funeral to finish, to start, and we're going to be putting up a cross. It feels really weird to see the cross sitting down in the dirt like this. I'm not personally a religious person, I'm spiritual, but there's still this symbolism that I have a little bit of a hard time with seeing laying there. I'm spiritual, I identify with the cross. It's important, and that's why I want to put it back up, because it was important enough for this family to have it.
Yeah, they'd probably be upset to find out that it was toppled over and has been on the ground for a very long time.
This project had so much symbolism involved with it. We were working on this fallen cross, and as we were setting up, a funeral procession arrived, and so we stopped and sat down and chose to not work while the cemetery was active with mourners.
Now what I'm wondering is which way this faces. So we do have an inscription here. I don't know if you can read that or not, but we need to decide which way this cross should be facing once it's placed up here. We don't know what's on the back. Once we see what's on the back, or what's currently on the back, we'll know. But we need to kind of think about the placement of this. There's a family stone that's down there. There's a family name that's there.
Names are facing this way, it seems like on this hill.
So names are facing this way, reading that way. So if there's no inscription on the other side, this should face that way?
Yep,
Okay.
I'd say so.
This family stone is a cathedral, a church. You can see that this cross, this really large, heavy granite cross, sits over the crossing of this cathedral. And that's of the family of the Barnards. Buried here is Father John, wife Eliza Jane, and son Charles and John. John Mills was born in 1820 and graduated from Norwich University, the oldest military college in the United States, located in Norwich, Vermont, and known as the birthplace of the ROTC.
What's going to happen, we're going to land it here. We're going to put wood here, these little pieces.
Okay.
Will become supporting platforms.
Okay.
We'll put a couple, and we'll allow it to kind of free sit in that. So I'm going to get this base up to this height, and then while I'm doing that, you're going to take these, you're going to kind of clean them a little bit, just like knock them off.
John attended Norwich starting in 1841 for 3 years. He was also its librarian from 1842 to 1844. He later received an AM degree in 1850.
I'm going to have you come over here.
Okay.
Just going to stand arm away from it.
Yep.
1 foot forward, 1 foot back, just, you know, so that way you're in a position in case something were to happen. There is a stone a foot back from you.
Yep.
So when you need to run, don't fall,
Don't sure find that one.
basically. It's exactly what it is. I'm going to do this incrementally, okay?
After graduating, he taught school in Jackson, Georgia, as well as Brennan, Texas. In 1846, he enlisted in Colonel Jack Hayes' regiment, the 1st Texas Mounted Volunteers, where he was ultimately promoted to captain and major while serving in the Mexican-American War. He saw action at the Siege of Veracruz and the storming of Monterey. He later served as Quartermaster General of the Volunteers.
I want you to lift up with one link, if you can. There, right there. One more. One more. There, perfect, perfect, okay.
After being discharged, he moved to Des Moines, Iowa, where he was admitted to practice law and did so for nearly 10 years. At the same time, he served as a civil engineer, was in the real estate business, not to mention a land agent, a man of really many talents. By 1856, he married his cousin, Eliza Jane Gove, in Manchester, New Hampshire. The couple lived there briefly until moving to Rochester, New York. He traveled back and forth between Des Moines, Iowa and Rochester, New York for a number of years, and we have several letters that John had written to his wife and to his children.
So I'm gonna have you come on that side.
Okay.
Your hand is just gonna be up here.
Okay.
I'm gonna be tipping it, so it's gonna come towards you. I just
Okay.
wanna be extra safe. Because I can always relieve it. If you feel like it's going, far too far, then of course we adjust.
In one such letter, dated November 22nd, 1857, he talks about having just been in Rochester 2 weeks prior, having arrived in Iowa, and talking about how bad the weather is, the cold, blowing, snowy Iowa weather. He talks about how the economy in Iowa is so much poorer than in the East, and he's having a hard time collecting money to pay the taxes. He talks about taking log cabin fare and stage fare, which is describing it as a great deal worse. In one instance, he talks about starting out at 4 o'clock in the morning, dark soon, commencing rain and snowing. They pitched the stage into a slough and was thrown off the wheels. 2 of the passengers and himself were out into the mud and the rain to work for an hour to get the stage back on. A few miles further, the horse gets its leg stuck in a bridge. Everyone out again to fool around in the mud, finally getting its foot out, and supposed, of course, the leg broke, but no, only bent. So back on again, traveling in Iowa this season, only a few days. He's talking about how it's frozen hard now, but hopefully sticking through until spring. In one letter to his son Charlie, he says, "I trust by this time your own sober thoughts have shown you how unwise and absurd it would be for you to quit school at the present time and not complete the course. A good education is more important to you than business, amusement, or anything else but health. And the next 2 years will probably do more fixing your future position in life than any similar period of your existence." He goes on to say that I cannot consent to anything of the kind, and no doubt your own good sense has already banished the idea of quitting school. Your Uncle Ed and Ez and every other sensible friend of yours will advise you to go to school, and you will realize the advantage of it someday better than now.